So, the night before the election, it's the dog's dinner time. I need to feed them soon. With the daylight savings time, they think it's later than it is with the fallback an hour. And so I'm trying to do it by the half hour to get them used to a new hour. It is just... The sun actually went behind the hill a couple hours ago, but kind of stressed, not just kind of, very stressed. I've heard sirens all day long today. I don't know what is going on in our town. I don't know what's going on in the city. I don't really know what's going on because I don't want to know what's going on. It's kind of frightening on how people are going to behave. We're a civilized country, yet not acting civilized, and that's scary. So in my world, with my pets and my gardens, I need to not think about it, and I spent most of the day trying to keep busy. And so what I've done, and you know what, it seems so irrelevant in a time like this, the way things are. But I'm going to go ahead and enter into my Teletubby world and just go ahead and do a little vlog because it makes me feel better. So I spent some time... By the way, I want to make it clear that I am working on a broken rib right now. When you have osteogenesis imperfecta, you cannot stop life. You cannot stop living. And I push through pain. I knew somebody who said that they push the pain into a cornfield. One of our friends said that, and that's kind of what has to be done when you fracture all the time. And I'm stubborn, and in spite of the pain, I don't take pain medication because it's messed up my innards. My innards. So I'm just letting you know that although you see that I seem to be doing work that a healthy person would do, I'm doing work that a person in pain pushes through to do. So let me just go ahead and proceed that I went ahead and this was all full of crabgrass, and that was a huge mistake when I had a harvest hootenanny here in my backyard, and instead of using bales of straw, well, we have some Bermuda grass hay bales, let's use that, and it must have had a bunch of seed, and it ruined parts of my yard with Bermuda grass, which is extremely invasive. I do not recommend it ever. Anywho, right here I was full of Bermuda grass, and I went ahead and cleared it out. This is taking me the course of about 3 days. Cleared that out, and then I have a tiny raised bed that I always use for my garlic, and I put in some compost and fertilizer and blood meal for nitrogen. And that I hadn't done before, so I'm going to go ahead and see what the results are. I received a bunch of things that I ordered and didn't remember ordering. I have a ton of onions that I want to plant, the white and yellow and red, but I want to do that up in the other garden area, which, by the way, when I went up there, when I went up to my vegetable victory garden, I noticed a whole slew of paw prints. So I am suspecting that the bobcat that we scared off, the second bobcat, continues to roam our property, and we've gone ahead and put spikes up on our fencing, and I put some spiking pads on our tree where the chickens are, but I will not ever leave them out unattended, and I leave the door open if they're out, and if I can't have the door open because it gets cold, I'm going to keep them in their little area. Those are sweet potatoes in there. I don't remember if I told you. I am really not happy about having a predator think that this is their restaurant. I'm not happy at all. And Lucy, my border collie, used to jump this wall here, and now she's 13 years old and she can't do that, but she used to roam the property, and I know that that's why we didn't have predators on our property before until now, because she's unable to do that, sweetheart. So I planted early California white garlic there. I'm considering not having this because I love this rose bush so much, and I don't like how it's scrunched up against it. And then I have some old garlic here that I am going to pull out because it's just remnants of things that I missed when pulling out other garlic. So I don't even know what's in there. So I have some late white garlic that I want to plant. And then I have another box here that I think I'm going to try to put some onions in, just for the sake of the fact that I have probably 1,000 little onion sets. Hey Scout, don't do that. I put some grass down because for whatever reason something smells wonderful right in that spot, and he likes to keep digging it up, and I wish he wouldn't. So anyway, to continue with my ignoring what's going on in the real world, I'm going to go in my house, and I've started to... Oh, by the way, Atticus is blessing many people right now with his stream. And so I have to find things to do while he's streaming, because usually I get to talk to him. So I'm going to admit out loud, never done it before, I was, for a whole year, a QVC HSN addict. Yes. And I got a KitchenAid mixer from them, along with a bunch of other stuff that I'm now trying to find homes for, appliances and ridiculous things I definitely didn't need. But I just thought was so cool because the way it was presented, it's all about the presentation. It was just so awesome. Sorry, I'm putting something away that's not meant to be in the kitchen. I want to bake those pumpkins and make real pumpkin pie from real pumpkins, not canned. So anyway, I have a recipe. I want to do a shout out to one of my favorite vlogs, homesteading vlogs. And if you haven't guessed, we watch a lot of homesteading vlogs, farm vlogs. I love Appalachia's Homestead with Patera. I think she's wonderful, and she's got some great, easy to do but resulting in delicious food recipes. And then I just discovered Kent Rollins. He's a cowboy in Oklahoma, and he has amazing recipes. I learned how to do hash browns the right way, and I learned to do some other things. And I just got his 2 cookbooks that are online on Amazon. But I am going to attempt to make banana bread so that it's all done when Atticus is finished with his streaming. Today is, I think, a chat stream, and there's going to be prayers for our country. Either way, we all know there's something going to happen, and what we do is we pray, and God knows what's happening, and God is in control, but we also need to be strong with Him, with God, with His strength, and listen for Him and listen to Him on how to handle things as they come. What I know that this is a society and a generation that is just not thinking right, correctly, for the most part, because Atticus is meeting a lot of people, his age that say, wow, I thought I was alone. For the most part, we have become a completely torn apart nation, and it will continue to tear. I'm stressed about it. So I'm gonna go back into my Teletubby land and think about making this banana bread. I have my notebook, Appalachia Homestead Nana's banana bread. I wrote it down in October, and I'm going to go through the steps of making this bread because I have to, because I am choked up with stress with what's going on. It requires 1 stick of butter and 1 cup of sugar. And when I started to look for my butter, I discovered that my butter was in the freezer, so I had to defrost it in the microwave. But my stick of butter is inside of the mixer. Oh, and it's melting. And then you cream it with a cup of sugar. And I have not gotten my cup of sugar yet. You know, I mentioned before I'm doing this for L and E also to get to know me. So this is what your grandma does, okay? You know what? I can just take this over. I was once a Tupperware lady, long, long ago. Does anybody out there know what Tupperware is? It was the most fun thing in the world to go to a Tupperware party, because there used to be games and then demonstrations, kind of like the QVC thing, but you were with your friends and family, and you got hostess gifts, and then, like I said, that you played games, and then the person who was selling the Tupperware, she just made it so enticing to teach you how to keep your food fresh in Tupperware. So I think I was in my early 20s, early 20s, and I became a Tupperware lady, and I spent all of my earnings on Tupperware. That's Tupperware. Not Rubbermaid, not Lock and Lock. Tupperware. It's everywhere. It's in my garage. It's in my cupboards. Sorry, I got the hiccups. Okay, so I've got my stick of butter in here. I have never, ever used this KitchenAid mixer, so this should be quite interesting. So I'm pouring in the cup of sugar with a stick of butter. And I'll bring this down. Please, this is new to me. There's a little thing that keeps it from going up and down, and then you move it over and you can lift it. So I'm going to cream it. Oh, already something's wrong. What have I done? Okay, I didn't have the bowl locked in. That could have been disastrous. So I'm creaming the sugar and butter together. And while I do that, I need 2 eggs and a teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm getting 2 of our chicken eggs. And I have to mash bananas. I have to do that too. And I have to get a teaspoon of vanilla. I'm all over the place. I used to be so organized. I have vitamins. I have vanilla. Okay. I have the vanilla. And I'm going to put everything on pause so it's all ready. And I can be a little more organized. Okay, so I laid things out a little nicer. I've creamed the sugar and the butter, as I said. And then it says to put in the 2 eggs. Add the 2 eggs. And I've already cracked them in here. I promise I will learn how to do this better. And mix that up. When you have homemade eggs, homegrown from your own chickens, their yolks are super golden yellow, really dark. It's not a light yellow like at the market. And then I have some Trader Joe's pure bourbon. Oh, cool. Vanilla extract that I'm completely unable to open at the moment. Okay, so as Debbie's world turns, I somehow or other shut off the recording of things that I was showing you. So after I put in the bourbon and mixed, after I put in the vanilla and mixed it up in the mixer, I was showing the dry ingredients. I had 1 teaspoon of baking soda. My poor dog. I wonder what's bothering him now. 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and then I was recommending Rumford baking powder, which you need 1/2 teaspoon for the dry ingredients. The reason I recommend this is that Rumford does not have aluminum in it, and we all know that aluminum isn't healthy for us. They discovered years and years ago that there was an accumulation on the brain with aluminum for people with Alzheimer's, so it's better to try to avoid it as much as possible, even with your cooking. So I have 2 cups of flour in here. I'm going to add the baking powder and baking soda. Isn't it lovely to have alarms? I have my watchdogs. And then, oh, this is going to be interesting. I was going to sift all my dry ingredients together, but let me find out what's going on with my dog. Okay, apparently everything is fine. It was just a delivery. So I have the dry ingredients in my sifter, and I want to figure out how to let you see that. You know what I ordered? I ordered a tripod, because I want to be able to do things and not worry about how I'm going to set up my phone. Okay, and this is an antique Bromwell's. It says measuring sifter, guaranteed. Guaranteed what? To be a measuring sifter. Huh! Didn't know that. Okay. So I have my dry ingredients. I have my bananas mashed. And now it says to add the bananas to the mix, and then we will add in the dry ingredients. By the way, my stove is preheating to 350 degrees. My mom, I remember her in the kitchen, and she would go ahead and she would scrape out every single drop of whatever it is that she had. See why I need a tripod? Where's my mixer? There it is. Anyway, I wanted to get a spatula and get every little drop. It requires 4 to 5 overly ripe bananas mashed. Sorry about the hand. Oh! I never realized how awkward I've become till I started videoing. Videoing? Is that a word? Okay. Let's look at, it's smelling good, by the way. The vanilla with the bananas. Oh. Whoa! Back is off, forward goes faster. Good tip. Good thing to remember. All right, now I'm going to add the dry ingredients. I'm going to do it a little bit at a time. Here's my trusty spatula. We used to have an electric mixer. No, it was a stand mixer. I think I still have. I have one like my mom's. It was white. And we all fought to lick the beater, especially when it was chocolate cake. Back is stop. I'm going to lift it up and I'm going to put the rest of it in. The thing is there were two beaters, not just one of these, like a paddle. They were two very sharp beaters, and you had to be extremely skilled to lick the beaters on those old mixers, or your tongue would not be happy for quite some time. Oh, and it definitely takes skill to try to move stuff down while the beater is going. So back is stop. I'm going to lift it up, bring it down. Wow. This is really exciting. You want to know why? This is the very first time I've ever made banana bread from scratch. It's so exciting. I'm having such a good time on a day that's so stressful. What do? You make banana bread. Now, you can go ahead and put walnuts and stuff like that in there. I heard even chocolate chips. That sounds so good. But or pecans. But Atticus is allergic to walnuts and pecans, so we're going to make it plain. The other thing that is so incredibly wonderful and exciting, I planned on doing the banana bread today, but I had ordered, I'm getting really into using cast iron, and they're hard to find, especially the Lodge brand, the older ones. So I came across this on eBay, and I treated myself to buying this, and the seller was so great, sent it right away. I mean, I just ordered it a couple 2-3 days ago, and it's a used Lodge brand cast iron, and I believe it's pre-seasoned. I did wash it, but I believe it's ready to go. You know what? Just to be safe, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put some Crisco in it. As Patera once said, to make her life easier. I'm gonna go ahead and grease it. And a long time ago, paper towels are going to be a hot commodity again. You watch. I'm going to go ahead and grease it, and I'll bet I'm going to have a lot of people say, no, don't do that. No, in slow-mo. But I'm going to see if it helps it not to stick. Patera on Appalachia's homestead, she put some parchment paper at the bottom of it. And I may do that because I'm probably going to end up shutting this off to do some changes. Okay, so I greased this awesome cast iron cast iron bread pan. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take what I mixed and I'm going to put it inside with a little piece of parchment paper at the bottom, and then I'll come back. Alrighty, I am back. I've put the batter inside of the bread pan. I'm getting it to the edges. I'm a little anal about that. And now I'm going to open up my oven. Oh no, the rack isn't where I want it to be. And yes, I have aluminum foil at the bottom of my oven to catch drippings. I want it to be more in the middle so the heat circulates. And I'm going to lift this very heavy. Oh my gosh. Holy cow. I'm serious. This is seriously heavy. I hope it doesn't rise above the rack. I'm going to put it in the middle. And I'm going to bake it for, what was it? Approximately 30 to 35 minutes. It probably took me 5 minutes to look that up. No, I'm going to do 30. I start at the lowest, and then you check it. See if you need more time. Okay, I'll be back. So the timer is getting ready to go off with the 30-minute mark, and I have my trusty toothpicks on hand. One of the things that I noticed is somebody was using the same toothpick, and I was always taught to use a different toothpick to test it, because if it has dough on it, you don't just keep poking the bread or whatever the cake you're baking or so forth. Wow, it's kind of puffy and it looks kind of brown. Let me get my... So in the time it took, the 30 minutes, I zoomed around the house and I took care of the chickens, took care of the baby chicks, took care of the dogs, took care of the cats. I can already kind of tell it jiggles in the middle. It's probably doughy. It needs more time. So I'm going to do one poke. And yeah, it's doughy. So I'm going to put it back. I put it back in. And I think I'm going to do 3 minutes. Check it. And then see what happens. Oh, wait, no. Little story while I'm waiting. When we had the windstorm, the power went out. And that's when you say to yourself, I really, really want a generator. Because I really, really want power. But we didn't have internet either. We didn't have anything. So I found out that I could start my gas stove with matches. That's why they're out. And then we couldn't use our trusty Mr. Coffee Maker because it runs on electricity. I know I could boil water and just pour it through a filter. But I read, actually, I remember my mom that she would make it in a percolator, which I happen to have one on hand in one of my cupboards. I also had watched Kent Rowland's YouTube, and he made cowboy coffee with this giant enameled coffee pot on a big wood burning stove. And he was saying that it's supposed to boil, and then there's this other frame of mind where is with the coffee makers, it's just heating the water as opposed to boiling it. So Atticus and I, we had extreme pleasure of having coffee that was boiled, percolated. And what it is you don't do this. There's these little knobs. You put the coffee grounds inside of this. Now, my mom had glass. This one is aluminum, and I wasn't happy about that. So In the old days, you had to be really careful not to break the stem, not to break the basket, but it would percolate up through glass. And you put your grounds in here, and you figure out how many cups you want to make, and then you put in the amount of grounds as you would like Mr. Coffee or your machines that are cheap like that. And you boil it, and then you just kind of keep an eye on it, basically. And when it gets dark in a rich kind of way, you know it's done, so you take it off the flame. And what happened was Cowboy Kent Rollins is so right. And I remember how my mom's house was filled with the smell of coffee brewing, percolating. And you know, in the old days, they had all these coffee commercials. And it was so cute, for Folgers or for all the different brands. And what did I do with I put it away? I did. All these different brands, and they'd have these jingles. Oh, it's still kind of, I can tell. It needs to go in longer. It's bouncy in the middle. I'm actually going to do 2 minutes, which will make it the 35. But to finish my story is, there was like da 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 dun dun, da 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 dun dun, da 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 dun dun, da 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 dun dun, and that was supposed to be the sound of coffee percolating. I miss the old commercials. I miss jingles. I miss where it's demonstrating a variety of products and not just medications for different diseases and technological devices and cars. It's stupid. It used to be so much fun to memorize things like Oscar Mayer had jingles and cereal, and then there were cute little characters like Tony the Tiger and the Fruit Loops toucan bird and for cereals, and oh my gosh, it was just so much more fun, so much more charming. Life was charming. There was a time Disneyland was charming. It's not charming at all anymore. I'm counting down. It's just not charming. It's not sweet. It's not playful in a youthful child like way, like a child's world. Everything, kids are made to grow up so fast with the really ridiculous things on TV. And you know what? Hollywood needs to also have the swamp drained and go back to things that families can watch, and the word wholesome can pertain to it, can be a part of it, and charming and sweet and loving and imaginative. And let's try it again. You know, it would help if I turned off the timer. This baby's heavy. So what are we up to? 35 minutes? It's dry. It's not doughy. Wait a minute, I feel a little dough. Let me just leave it in there one more minute. And then I think it'll be perfect. So I'm gonna stop, and I'm gonna pull it out, and then we'll see what happens. So Atticus is done with his stream, and that banana bread has been in the oven for like an hour. It was only supposed to be 30 to 35 minutes. On top of that, the last few minutes, the top of the banana bread blew off and landed on the bottom rack. So Atticus and I, we ate the blown off top, and it tasted good. But I am going to release this cracking from the oven. And we're just going to eat around the doughy part because it's starting to burn. Alright, and it's heavier than heck. So that's what it looks like. And it's still moist in the middle. However, the blown off top, like I said, tasted wonderful. And I can't bake it any longer. I can't. I want to go to bed now. So I'm done. And like I said, I'm going to vote this as an epic fail. Yeah, I'll downgrade it to a fail because it does taste good. Yeah, enough of you. And I'm sorry, Patera. It didn't work. I don't know why. I did the exact ingredients. I'm not certain what the culprit is. Why it's so doughy in the middle. I wished it was like yours because yours looked beautiful. But I tried. I tried so hard. And it was in a cast iron baking loaf pan thing that I got today. But that's it. Okay, I'm not sure if you guys should try the recipe. But I did. And Atticus is laughing at me.
Hi.
We're done. Have a good night. It's dark outside. See? We're done. Bye-bye. And it's the night before the election. God bless America. God bless the United States of America. We've eaten a third of it. Not an epic fail.